So if you are in a corporate job and you would like to excel and make the most of your experience, then these are few tips that you should consider following or trying. And if you already follow them, just comment below what you do, and it could help me out as well to make my life in a corporate job a lot more interesting, fulfilling, and yeah, overall nice experience. My first suggestion for you is get yourself a mentor. Having a mentor at your workplace makes a huge difference to your career and your performance at work, because if it is someone who has been in a similar kind of role or who has been very close to your job, they would be in a very good position to guide you as to what you can do to improve your performance or improve your presence. And if it is someone who is not exactly involved with the kind of job that you do but has a fair amount of idea about the organization, the way people work within that organization, then they can really help you out. There is paid type of mentorship as well, but I'm talking about unpaid mentorship, where you find someone really interesting, inspiring within your workplace, and you just reach out to them through an email or even directly and ask them if they would like to mentor you. One suggestion that I have when you are seeking a mentor is have very clear idea about what kind of mentorship or in which areas do you need mentorship, so that when you are seeking your mentor or getting into a conversation with them, you have very clear idea about what you are expecting from them. And when they will see that you are very specific about what kind of help you need, guidance you need, they'll be more than willing to become your mentor. So what I did was I straight away reached out to the people I wanted mentorship from, and in some cases I even asked my manager to suggest someone to me able to help me with very specific things, and that helped me get mentors at my workplace. Okay, so the next but extremely important point is schedule breaks within your workday. If you are in a corporate job and it involves loads of sitting hours or working while sitting, I would highly suggest to build in breaks within your schedule. And if you have all your calendar laid out, or you work using Teams, or if you use Google Calendar, I would highly suggest put 5-minute breaks within your workday. You can put it after every 1.5 hours or wherever you find suitable. And taking breaks is very important, specifically if you are doing loads of hours sitting at your desk staring at a screen. When I had initially joined my job, I did not take it seriously. Like, I used to feel that I should just get the work done and then give myself a break after everything is done, rather than getting up from my chair in between, breaking the flow of my work. And what I found was, within a period of 7-8 months, I felt fatigued and overwhelmed and extremely burnt out. So I would highly suggest breaks are really important, and you have to take them seriously if you are in a sitting job, and you cannot ignore your health or ignore that small doses of downtime, because they help to actually recharge you for the next 1 hour, 1.5 hour of work that you are going to put in. So following nicely from the point related to breaks is take proper time for your lunch break or your meal breaks. I prefer taking my lunch break at my desk, as in I just didn't take any break. I would just get my meal, keep working, and then keep eating. But I have noticed that since I started taking a proper break of half an hour from my work, I can notice a huge amount of difference in the type of work that I'm producing, my energy levels, and also my overall well-being. Because if you are just staring at the screen whole day and not prioritizing your meals, one, you tend to just eat junk food, whatever is easy to grab, you eat it without thinking about it or putting much energy into it. And secondly, the food that you eat does not do good to your body. As in my culture, there is a saying that you have to respect food if you want the food to respect you, or you want good from the food. So in a way, I was just not respecting my food. I was not paying it any attention. I just thought I need to have my stomach full to be able to work. I need energy for that, so I'll just keep working and keep eating whatever is available to me. But since I have started building proper meal time in my schedule, I have noticed that first of all, I tend to eat very mindfully, and that is why I eat healthier food options. And secondly, I take my time enjoying my meal, and it somehow relaxes me down for the next half of the day that I'm going to be working. So moving over to the next point, and this has really helped me out, especially in the mornings, because my mind is a lot more calmer and there is no hustle bustle or like stress of quickly sorting out things. So I would say or suggest that plan your clothes, whatever you are going to wear to work, a day in advance. Plan your meals in advance. Plan whatever you're going to carry in your bag, work bag, in advance, and get it ready. Lay out all your things that you need in the morning, in the night prior to your workday itself, because when you wake up the next morning, you won't have to waste time in finding clothes, ironing them, thinking about what do I have to take for my lunch or my breakfast, or these things that we struggle with, the monotonous things that are really necessary to be done, but which can become a big challenge if we do not plan them properly. So I would highly suggest plan a day in before. And also another thing is, if you plan your next day in terms of the meetings that you have, what are you going to say in those meetings, what is expected of you in those meetings, and also what are you going to work on for the whole day. If you plan that in advance, that makes a huge lot of difference, because you have a clear idea about what you are going into the next day with. So that is why you will not feel stressed in the moment, or there will be no last minute panic. The next point, which is really very important, and yeah, I can say that I took a long time to get this understanding in my mind or accept it. But the thing is that you need to understand you cannot do everything in one day. So what I mean by this is, whenever I was working, I used to feel that every task that is mentioned for me, I have to do it within the same day, complete it, meet all the deadlines on the same day itself. And actually, if you see from an outsider's perspective, no task in a corporate job can be done on the same day when you already have a lot of things to do. So in that sense, I would say prioritize three main tasks or three main deadlines that you might have for that day, and then you can make progress on the next bits of work, but you don't necessarily have to complete them. I did not get this thing. I used to feel like everything that my manager has mentioned or everything that I have volunteered for, I have to do it today itself. So not having very clear guidelines or very clear mindset about what exactly is expected from me or what the clear deadlines are, it just created lots of confusion in my head and unnecessarily burdened me and drained me out. So in one of my meetings with my manager, I asked him that there is so much work to do. How do you expect me to complete everything on a daily basis? And he said that, who has said you have to do everything on the same day itself? Like, you need to prioritize your tasks, and we know you are human, so we don't expect you to do absolutely everything in that whatever number of hours that you have when you are at work. We don't expect that. And when he said it, it gave me a lot of validation, and yeah, I understood that, oh, I was unnecessarily burdening myself or being in a rut, and I didn't exactly communicate with him, or I didn't even ask him that what is he expecting from me. So having clear communication and understanding that not every piece of work is spent for that day, it can be done on the next day, or just having a clear communication about what the expectation and what the deadlines are make a huge lot of difference. And I have noticed that women tend to put burden on themselves and feel like because they have to prove themselves, they have to do it all, whereas men tend to prioritize a lot better. They communicate clearly in terms of what the other person is expecting from them or what can they deliver. So this thing I would suggest to all females specifically, that have clear communication with your stakeholders. don't just assume that you have to prove that you can do it all. So the next point is, beyond your workplace, have a good group of your supporters or your well-wishers or people who are with you no matter what, because there are so many struggles of being in a corporate environment. Like, it is quite challenging in itself because you have to prove yourself, even though others might not be saying it, but there is that general atmosphere in you in which you have to work with high energy all the time. So knowing that there are few people whom you can fall back on at home, like having a supporting partner, having a loving family, having really good friends who can talk to you without judging you, or with whom you can be your real self, then it makes a huge lot of difference in your work presence as well, because you are a lot more grounded. You come across as a lot more relaxed, calmer, and confident person in a way. So just make sure that it is not always that you are surrounded yourself with workplace people only, or you are networking with people who are from your industry or from your work related environment. Have people who have different interests, who work in different organizations, who have different perspectives rather than just limited perspectives that you might have within your workplace. And you will see a huge difference in how you feel in general, and even your happiness. It will increase a lot if you have people around you who are not exactly related to your job. So the next thing is, because the corporate job can be a lot demanding, and not just corporate job, any job, they require a lot of hard work, dedication, yeah, in general, hustle from you. So having a few hobbies, and if you are a parent, I would say you might not be able to have a few, but having just one hobby can make a huge difference to your career, because having hobbies means there is something that you have to look forward to after your work hours. When I didn't have any specific hobby, I used to feel like, oh, now I've finished my today's work, what do I do next? I'll just scroll on my phone, watch TV, consume content which doesn't even add a lot of value in my life. This is what was happening with me. But since I took up a hobby, like I started doing watercolor painting very seriously, and I could see in general my mood was a lot better. And also during networking at my work, I had something to talk about. I could talk about art, or I could talk about colors or color schemes, and have knowledge about watercolor painting, or talk about my hobby. It made a huge difference because people just didn't put me in a basket of expert in my work, but they also thought of me as a very creative person, or someone who has a lot going on in her life, even though I might be just sitting at home and painting. But they just assume that my life is very interesting, and there are loads of things that I do outside work as well. So it just lifts up your profile in a way. So I would highly suggest, for your mental well-being as well, pick up a hobby. You can do sports, but if you live in a colder country like me, you might not be able to spend a lot of time outdoors, especially in winters. So having a hobby that you can spend time on indoors can also be a plus point. Not everyone who has young kids can afford to have hobbies because they are so busy around their children. So even if they cannot take a hobby, they can make rituals, or they can have practices that they do at home with their family, with their children. In a way, they can decide, okay, we are going to have dinner together, and we'll lay out the dining table properly and spend 1 hour each evening with each other, without our gadgets, without phones, computers, everything. And this in itself can be a hobby, or a ritual, or a practice, your household practice, which lifts up your mood. And if you have to talk to someone about what interesting things you do, and you will have loads of points related to whatever you talked with your family members during those dinners. Build in some kind of ritual that you do outside of work. So the next point, because I work in a team which has all other male members, I did not have have lots of females around me to talk to, or just hang out in general with. So the thing that helped me was, if you have any clubs, any groups, social groups at workplace, it can make a huge difference in your networking, getting to know people and coming across different type of opportunities. But also it can have some positive impact in your day-to-day job as well, because you are not just working on your specific tasks according to your job description, but you are getting involved in something more at your workplace, in your organization, which could help uplift your profile as well. I would highly suggest become member of such kind of a group, or get involved in organizing events for your organization, because in that way you'll get to know a lot of people from different parts of your organization, from different teams, and yeah, your network will improve a lot, and you don't have to consciously network. You just happens on its own in a very natural way when you are part of some kind of group or community beyond your specific work team. So the next thing is, set your boundaries very clearly and communicate those boundaries to your stakeholders, your manager, and also your family and yourself. Sometimes we do think that these are our boundaries, but we don't actually consciously accept them. For example, if I decide that I am going to work from 9 to 5, and if is not an emergency, I'm not going to drag my work beyond working hours, and I have this strict boundary that I have set up, that I need time to recharge after work so that I can return to it as my 100% next day. Communicate this to your team, to your manager, or everyone in your workplace, so that they know what to expect from you and what not to expect. If they are expecting something else while you cannot offer it, there is a clear communication, and everyone knows when tasks will be done, how much time it is going to take, how much time it is not going to take. So yeah, I would highly suggest set your boundaries and stick to them. And also, I have noticed that especially for women who have very clear boundaries and they communicate them clearly as well, they come across as very confident, or they come across as very self-assured. They know what they are saying and why they are saying it. Have it very clear in your mind, and also communicate it properly to others. The next suggestion that I have is, seek feedback continuously from everyone and anyone that you work with. For example, if you take any ad hoc tasks, any ad hoc projects, make it a point to seek feedback from people, because sometimes people might have very good feedback for you, which is a validation or an encouragement for you, and that assures you that you are going in the correct direction. And at other times, if people feel like, oh, you could improve on this thing, or this could have been better, you have suggestions for where you can work towards, or what kind of improvements can you bring in your workplace. Recording the feedback in a very systematic way, so that you can review it, say, after a year, to decide, oh, okay, this year these many people were very happy working with me, whereas these many people felt I could improve in a specific type of work or task. So yeah, I'm going to focus on making improvements in this area and make it better next year. Something like that. So give you a lot of clarity as to what is going right for you and what isn't exactly. So the next point is, for someone who struggles with confidence at their workplace, and this is what has really helped me out. I keep a record of all my wins and learnings at one place. Either send yourself an email each time you have any achievement, any accomplishment, any win, with specific subject line. For example, I can just put the subject line as my wins. Each time that I have any achievement, I write a quick email to myself with the subject as my wins. So later in the year, or in a few years, if I have to go through or I've achieved in the past, I can just search that my wins emails and I will have loads of emails about whatever my achievements were the past few years. And also you can just, if you have teams or if you have any kind of chat with yourself, you can write it in your notes, you can write it in within that chat and come back to it when you are feeling low on any other day. And reading through your achievement or your wins will instantly lift up your mood, and sometimes you really need that kind of boost or that kind of self-assurance that you are capable of doing anything and doing big things, and reading through those things will make a huge difference in your mood as well. Next thing, if you are specifically working in a challenging environment or in an environment which doesn't need a lot of physical activity but needs you to focus for a long period of time or work with focus or a lot of attention on a specific task, I would just suggest do not have sugary breakfasts when you start your day, because sugary breakfasts tend to give you a lot of energy for a few hours and then suddenly you notice a slump in your energy levels. So that is why whenever I do not have sugary breakfast, I feel that my performance improves a lot, because then during around the middle half the day I don't feel suddenly very sluggish or absolutely tired or as if like not having any energy. Whereas if I eat salty or like bland kind of breakfast, tend to have similarish energy levels and they help me a lot to focus on the tasks that I have to do for that day. The last point that I have for you is know your optimum working style. Some people prefer to work in the afternoons individually, like they prefer to do their own thing in the afternoons, whereas in the mornings they might be open to take up meetings or calls or interact with other people, do collaborations, etc. I prefer to work individually or on my own in the morning hours or early hours of the day, whereas as the day progresses I find myself a lot more relaxed and I can interact with other people, get collaborative, and I tend to feel I am more open as the day progresses. So that works for me, and that is why I try to schedule my meetings in the afternoon, whereas I prefer doing tasks or tasks that require very minute attention in the mornings, because that works for me. So the same way, find your own working style, stick to that, because that will give you optimum results in the long run. Your teammates or the people that you work with know that this is kind of working style that you prefer. You might also work around it, get 100% from you. So I hope all these tips helped you out in some way, and might be already following some of them at your workplace, but there are any that you found valuable and you found very relevant and you are going to implement them or have started implementing them and are seeing a change, please do comment it below. And if you have any suggestions for me that you have tried at your workplace and you feel like I could benefit from them, please write them to me as well, because I'll go through the comments. And it should be two-way developmental process for us. I am learning as well, and I hope I could contribute to your learning. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.